three dots.
Click on the bottom.
I'm on my
Hello,
phone.
everyone. We are live this morning. We're just taking care of a couple of tech things, but thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to quickly share to our strategic travel entrepreneur group. Let's see. We have an amazing panel of lots of different backgrounds, people who use lots of different systems. And I'm hoping that this is going to be so beneficial for you, for your travel businesses coming up, always, but especially for Prep for Wave Week that is here. So it looks like everything's running on Facebook. Good morning or good evening, because Dave, where are you at right now?
I'm in Berlin, and it's 5 o'clock, which we changed our times last weekend. So I'm completely lost in the universe.
Oh, wow. Okay, because I was thinking you were 6 hours difference. Alrighty.
We should be. And I had 5 people remind me today, Dave, don't mess up Rita's meeting. Dave, remember?
That's a great team.
And I think Alicia and Anna, you are both on the West Coast, right?
I'm on Central. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So San Antonio, Texas, over here, representing the Spurs.
Awesome. So let's do some quick introductions. Dave, tell us in a minute. We'll do a quick minute so we can get into the juice. Who you are and what you do in the travel business.
Okay. Well, my name is David Natale, and I'm an American living in Germany. Been here 21 years, and I run 2 companies. I run Friends of Dave Tours in Warnemünde, where we're the #1 independent tour provider. And from that came this new business, which is now 10 years old, of rivercruiseking.com. And I am AMA Waterways' #1 worldwide passenger and one of their top international sellers.
Awesome. Thank you. Anna, minute.
Hello. Yes. Well, I'm originally from Ecuador, and I know many people are like, Anna, doesn't matter. I've been living in California for the last 11 years. I am in California right now. We were doing a quick road trip, and I am a certified family travel coach. I've been traveling with my family since my baby girl was still a little tiny thing in my belly, and she's 3 now, and now we have a baby boy who's 7 months old. So I help other moms discover the world too. I thought I wouldn't be able to travel when I found out I was pregnant, and boy, did I prove myself wrong, and I want my other moms to do the same. And recently, just like Dave, I decided I wanted to help other business owners, other travel business owners, deal with the other stuff that come with running a travel business. So it's super exciting to be working in the travel industry.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you. And then Alicia's a little bit different because she does not work in the travel industry, but she is very well versed in lots of different systems. So Alicia, let us know a little bit about yourself, your minute.
Yeah, awesome. So Alicia Lozano here, and I'm from San Antonio, Texas. Go Spurs. So yeah, I'm the owner and founder of the Motivated Company, and I support sought-after experts by enhancing their back-end systems so that their leads to referrals processes elevate the agency's value and secures more revenue without adding any more time to the calendar or mentally dealing out the CEO. So yeah, that's what I do. All the systems and processes.
Yes. So open question to everybody. Why do you use systems and tools in your businesses? I feel like this is kind of like a duh question, but I think people need to know, why should I even start investing in some of these things?
Absolutely. I can start. I know for me, when you first start out as a solopreneur, you're wearing a lot of hats. There's a lot of tasks that go into operating a business that you might not think of. And if you don't take the time to sit down and say, okay, what are the repeatable tasks that I'm doing? Then entrepreneurship can get hard really fast and harder than it really needs to be. So that's why I One, love doing systems for other people. I love sitting in that planning space, but why I feel like systems are important is because it creates that flow, it creates that ease, it just makes things just work and smoother and operate smoother in your business. It saves you that time that you don't have to be wasting on those repeatable tasks.
Right.
I agree. I agree with Alicia said, especially being a mom. Now I get to see how valuable my time is. And these tasks are so repetitive that suddenly you have an automation or a system that can do for you. You get to see the bigger picture. You get to save so much brain space to really run your business and not be consumed like 3 hours doing Instagram posts, for example. And I also think it's very important that you're able to delegate. Once you have systems that you've set in place for your business, once you start growing and you start hiring, it's easier for you to put this load into somebody else. So I think that's one of the main things that I can highlight.
Mm. Well, for me, I used to have hair. No, but my business started so organically, and I didn't plan for it to grow and become as big as it did. I started out with just the idea of maybe doing 2 or 3 groups a year with maybe 10 or 20 people, but now I'm selling out ships. So when you have 160 people per sailing, and I'm doing 8 or 9 groups per year, keeping all of that on post-it notes does not exactly work. I was using a system that was a bit antiquated for my needs. And this year, because of some training courses that I was doing and some market research that I was doing, I found out that there are so many great products out there specifically for our industry or my industry of selling travel. COVID has been a curse in some ways, but also a blessing because it has given us the gift of time. And the first part of that time, like a lot of us, I was very upset and down and in the dumps. But then I realized this gift of time is giving me the chance to completely redo everything. So I've been redoing my CRM systems, my marketing systems, my delivery systems, my everything. And it made such a difference because now I can do something. I just did 64 payments on closing out a group, and it went like that. What would usually take me days, I did in about 2 hours.
Awesome. That's amazing. So 2 things kind of came up from what you just said, Dave, is that one, that's why we're having this conversation now in November instead of January, because wave season starts in January for travel advisors. And 2, these systems that we use really are to help us with our boundaries that we kind of talked about in burnout. A lot of the systems that are in place and that we put in place help us like have a more level head. So what are these systems? I'll start with Dave this time. What are, I will say, the 3 top tools that you use in your travel business?
Well, the biggest blessing that I came upon this year was TravelJoy, because it is an excellent CRM system. Specifically, if you have groups, they have a group functionality that has made my life so easy. They keep introducing things like smart proposals and just all sorts of functionality in one spot. I also use Travify because it allows me to create really beautiful presentations of itineraries. And the other thing, my Acuity Scheduler. I cannot tell you something so simple that has made such a big difference. You know that back and forth when you're trying to make a meeting with someone and you're mailing back and forth. Now I just say, here's my Acuity Scheduler. Look at my calendar. Please book your time. And it just saves so much time. Those are the top 3.
Love it. Love it. I'm going to keep everybody on mute because there was a little bit of feedback. Oh, we lost Anna. Okay. Alicia, let me see if I can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
There. Okay. What are the top 3 systems that you use in your business?
Yeah, so the number one would be Dubsado. So I love Dubsado for the functionality it has with the workflows. So when you're talking automation and getting like complex automation and different workflows, like if you have whether you have different products or you have different like when the input comes in, you're onboarding someone, but they can do this, or they can do this, or they can do this, and kind of splitting that up. I really like Dubsado's functionality when it comes to the workflows. So that's I use that as a to send invoices and to onboard clients. It is considered like a CRM, but I will say that like I feel like there's other systems out there that are better for like CRM tracking, but it really depends on your brain. So it's all a personal preference, but for me, I don't use Dubsado as a primary like CRM. And when I say CRM, like a customer relationship management system, where I'm going in and I'm using like the Kanban board to track my leads, like, from this stage to this stage to this stage. And so that leads me to what I do use, and that's Asana as my project management system.
Okay.
And so Asana, I am tracking my leads through there, but I also manage my client work through there, and I also manage my team work through Asana as well, just by building out different boards. It's working for me right now. I think that an upgrade from Asana long term, if you have a bigger team, is ClickUp. Asana, I think, can do the job, but I think ClickUp is better suited for a larger team. But to start, for me, Asana is my number two. And then number three, I would have to say, is Canva. So, oh no, we keep losing Anna. But Canva is, Canva, and I actually meant to say ConvertKit, but Canva too, actually. Canva is what I use for graphic design, but my number three, actually, I meant to say ConvertKit for email marketing. That I can build out automations. Again, you can have people click and tag, and there's a lot of different email marketing tools that can do the same thing, but Canva for me is a lot cleaner. And I like, they just changed their interface, and so to get to things is a lot easier. A second to that would be if you're super complex with your workflows, or you're running a membership of some kind, then I would say Active Campaign is a good kind of runner up.
Okay.
But yeah, so those are my top three. So Dubsado, Asana, and ConvertKit. And I threw in a bonus for Canva.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. I agree 100%. I use Canva a lot. Never heard of it before. And I'm using Flowdesk for my marketing, which is similar, I guess, to ConvertKit. I looked at both products, and there were pros and cons of both. But for like easing into this whole thing, I went with Flowdesk.
Yeah.
But lately, I've been kind of gravitating, thinking, oh, maybe I should be a ConvertKit. So I'm going to let my subscription for Flowdesk run for the year, and then I'm going to try ConvertKit next year.
For sure.
Yeah. I use Flowdesk right now, and I like it for the simplicity. And then for this support business, I've used so many of them. Right now I'm with MailerLite. I think that's kind of like my favorite so far, of like the free starter ones. And then for scheduling, I use Calendly. And then I'm very similar that I use TravelJoy. So I would say TravelJoy and Dubsado are very similar type products, but TravelJoy is more focused on the travel advisor community, versus Dubsado you can customize to whatever you'd like it to be. And then what else? I think HoneyBook is very similar to TravelJoy in interface, but does similar things to what Dubsado does.
Yeah.
So there's a lot here. Let me see. I'm going to pop Anna back. Anna, what are the top 3 tools and systems that you use for your business?
Hey, I was just hearing Dave, and I have something to share about ConvertKit, because I used to use ConvertKit for a long time. I actually use Flowdesk too for my email marketing. I really like it. I transfer from ConvertKit into Flowdesk. A big part of what I do now as a travel VA is offer email marketing services, but it's how most of my audience grew as a travel coach. I love putting those emails together. I really trust in nurturing your audience. So I like Flotus with ConvertKit. It's a very very functional tool, and it's you can synchronize it with many things like Stripe. You can take payments, so it's great in that area. But I felt a little limited with the creativity. Like the moment you embedded forms into your website, for example, then suddenly things didn't match, or the fonts weren't as
I've heard that a lot.
nice, I guess. At least not with the image that I was trying to portray. And Flotus is incredible. I used to show it for my travel coaching website, and I'm able to embed both things perfectly. So that works great. I also use Canva. I know you were talking a little bit about Canva. It's not really an automation tool for me, but it's where I create everything for my branding. And I like to use Calendly for scheduling. I used to use Acuity as well, but for now I'm choosing Calendly. And what else do I use? I use Tailwind a lot because I create a lot of content and I write blogs, and creating Pinterest pins can be such a time consuming thing, and Tailwind really really helps us stream it super simple, and it also publishes them so frequently that your audience grows. So I really really love using these tools for my business.
Yeah, and I love how the comments I was popping up, that's the beauty of being in business. You can do whatever, and if something's not working, go ahead, use another. Like nothing's cemented. So we've talked a little bit about systems. I want to go to SOPs, standard operating procedures. And this is something that I've been working on for my travel business, is using things like ClickUp and getting into like a mini like a not templates, like a mini course to learn a little bit about it. I know different people use Trello or Asana, but when we're thinking like workflows, and that's like, we have a travel booking, we need to contact them, we have our consult, they decide to book, they pay our planning fee agreement, kind of like going, that's like the little funnel. This is what the workflow does. And having those SOPs set up is what I think Alicia was saying. When you start hiring on people, it just makes things so much easier. Instead of you having to explain, it's already there in your system. So,
I think that's the beauty of Travel Joy. One of the things that I loved about it, because their functionality of creating task lists, you can create various task lists, whether it's for a group or an individual client. And I find myself just clicking through it, the sign up, the consultation, the follow up to the consultation. Did you sending the insurance reminders, the insurance questionnaires, my fee, all of it. That functionality in Travel Joy has been one of my favorite parts of their system.
Awesome. That does anybody else, or what system do you use? I think you use Trello, Dave, to kind of, and how do you use Trello in your business?
I use Trello to, I'm a note person, and there's always like 100 sheets of paper around me, but Trello has allowed me to create workflows and kind of put all of my lists into one spot. So I have one list. One of the systems that I started using recently is a scheduler. Anna, you mentioned that you do a lot of posting. So one of the things that we had learned, Rita, in the course that we did together was about using a system like Later. I personally use TaskBirdie, and that allows us to schedule. TaskBirdie is a little bit broader than Later. I do use the paid function. And another thing I did this year is I started outsourcing someone to help me get all of that stuff done. So on Trello, I have one board just for my marketing assistant, and we can make very clear workflows, what I want to be posted, where and when. We created like a routine sheet. I can upload all of the content onto Trello. Nadine is my helper. She is in South Africa. So I'm sitting here in Berlin and I'm loading things all the time. She goes into Trello and sees what's there. I can label it. And then she goes to TaskBirdie and she does all my stuff there. And so it's a really good trade-off. And the systems work really well together.
Oh, perfect. That's good to know, because I'm right now. Last week I was, and I mentioned this in boundaries, I had a very visceral reaction to like getting stuff done. And I was like, you just need to start using your project management tool, Rita. You just need to put the things in there and they can put you in line and tell you what you're supposed to be doing next. Alicia, what do you use to kind of like keep your projects organized, but also like that back end system?
Yeah, for sure. So I am a big fan of backing up your systems in a centralized place. And so I use a master list of procedures in Google Drive. And then I have like a separate drive for my team specifically to access SOPs. Because the idea is that when you're developing an SOP, it's very easy for that SOP to start gathering some dust. You type it up once, you hire somebody, you train them, and they're good at it, and then if they leave, right, the system was never updated, it was never looked at again. And so I wanted to create a place for myself in my internal business, but also for my clients to centralize that. But to your point, how we integrate that into Asana or whatever project board, the client is using or that you guys decide to use, is very similar to what Dave was saying in creating separate project boards. And depending, a social media project board maybe the easiest to explain, but within that social media project board, outlining the exact task under each particular step that need to happen. And then, really just having that as a repeatable task. So for example, maybe it's something like, you do Motivational Monday, right? And under Motivational Monday, there needs to be a graphic created, there needs to be copy, there needs to be hashtags put in, it needs to be scheduled. All of those can be built out under task. And so that's how I use it. I kind of use both, one centralized location, and then I link, when I'm in the project board, I link to the Google Docs. And that also helps with like organization too, because sometimes, when you're talking about even a marketing cycle or repurposing, there's a lot of processes that come underneath that task of like, the repurposing goal is to have like one blog, one email, 5 posts, 20 quotes, whatever it is, right? There's a lot of like processes that come underneath that may need different separate processes built out. So within the SOP, in a Google Doc, I'm drafting an SOP. You'll have the purpose, you'll have what they need, the assets, what they need access to, you'll have the procedures. And if it needs to link to another process, like step 2, do XYZ, but in order to do XYZ, you need to know how to do this process S123, and so it'll be linked there. And I find that it's just easier to follow versus having all of that kind of cluttered into a project management system in one task section. And so that's just how I operate. But
Awesome. Before we get to the next question, everyone, travel advisors, if you're listening in, please go ahead. If you have any questions or comments on the systems that you use, or if you are kind of like, I've been stuck on this and I'm not really sure where I should be moving in next, please pop them into the comment section so that we can start answering some of your questions. Anna, let me unmute you. How do you know that you're in need of a new system? Kind of like, what are the signals that you find that you're like, okay, I need to, this is the next system and we're going to start it when?
Usually it starts with my brain. When I realize it's like, okay, there's too much, I'm just keeping here. Or if I have too many papers and I found myself writing things over and over, then I'm like, okay, I need to systemize this. And what I usually do is I go in meetings like this, or I see what fellow travel entrepreneurs are doing, and then it's like, okay, there is an answer. there's a way that I can do this better. So it usually starts there for me. It's like, okay, I need to organize this somehow. I can just keep it all in my head.
Awesome. That Anna, or no, Alicia or Dave, do either of you have thoughts on that too? You can unmute yourself. Yeah.
Can you repeat the question? My attention went to Angela's question here. Has anyone used or familiar with Trello? Yes. So I do use Trello for my marketing cycle, social media between two people on my team.
Well, and what Anna said about when everything got too much in my head is exactly what led me to find all these things. I just pulled up my Trello boards, and I have separate boards for different themes. So I have an activity board for the week, which is my own business to-dos each week. I have a marketing board that is for planning out my marketing. I have a board where I gather all of my topics and ideas that I want to write blogs about or create my guides that I create in the different cities for my guests with all my favorite restaurants and tour guides and things like that. So that streamlines everything in one spot. So that's kind of like Trello is my overall organizer, but I always come back for my individual customers to Travel Joy, which is that specific things for the guests. So they work together, actually.
Yeah.
And I have 2 entry points for starting systems. I think that was part of the question, right?
Right.
Like where and Anna touched on it about, like, you know, when she recognizes that she's doing something too much or some stuff is too in her head too much. And that's like my first entry point when I'm giving advice on where to start with systems, because you can build a system and process for everything. So yeah, something that's taking way too much of your time. And if you're the entrepreneur and you're a solopreneur right now and you're like, everything takes a lot of time. I have this takes, 30% here. Then the second entry point I would ask yourself is, what are the systems or what is the specific process that's going to drive the business goals forward now? So looking at how you want to end the year, what systems can be in place? And when we talk about systems, because I know we're interchanging the terms, I want to just recognize that systems is like your overarching, like your marketing system. And your process is processes that can fall underneath the marketing system. So it can be an email marketing process. It can be your social media marketing process. It could be, how to develop a blog. So I just wanted to say that really quick too, because I know I'm using the terms interchangeably, but yeah, so that's kind of my 2 entry points. What's taking you the most time? Or what are the specific processes that can drive your business forward right now? And then that's where I would start with developing your systems.
Love it. Yeah. Pam has a question, wondering if it might be worth it to find someone to help me create a structure in ClickUp. It looks really robust, but almost too customizable. Or am I chasing shiny objects?
Well, I know Pam, and she's always chasing shiny objects. I love you, Pam, but it's true. But it's not a bad question to get help with the things that you find a little bit challenging. And that help doesn't have to be forever. It can just be project by project. And because I love what Anna said about when things get so cluttered in my mind, it's definitely a sign that you cannot do everything yourself, even if you want to or feel like you need to. And when I start to see that I am spending inordinate amounts of time doing a task that maybe someone else could do better, I do take a moment and calculate the value of my time that I'm losing to something. So I do my own kind of cost analysis ratio to whether I need a new system or I need, as Pam mentioned, someone to help me do something.
Yeah, I am going to be posting in the chat. The 2 big people that I know are Jenna Paolo and Casey Ranger. They are not travel but I know Casey has worked with travel, and Casey actually had a beta course. That's the one that I'm in right now to learn about ClickUp, because they both offer VIP days, but VIP days are a huge investment. And personally, I just don't have that amount to invest right now. But if you do, if I was able to, I'd be like, just set it all up for me and tell me how to work it.
I had someone set up my basic Travel Joy in the beginning, and unfortunately, she's not doing it anymore. She had to take a sabbatical, but she set up my basics so that I could go in and then click it and tweak it to be what I wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth the money. It's definitely worth it.
It is.
The next question. Oh no, go ahead. No, I was just gonna say, when I think about investing in an expert, like I'm all for it, right? Mm-hmm. Invest in the expert. But I also think that understanding the goals and what phase you're at. And so if ClickUp is really great for like the team and growing. So if you're at a position, Pam, where you feel like, hey, I want multiple people kind of working in this project management system, or I want to build it for that, then I absolutely think hiring an expert that knows exactly what they're doing to set it up for you is worth that investment ahead of time. But if you're not quite there yet, then I think you can get away with not having that spend right now and using that spend to gain more clients or to do something else in a different way. That was just my 2 cents.
Thank you.
It's valuable. That's good advice.
Well, and I think that's a system in itself, is hiring outside help. And we don't really recognize it because there are like all the systems that we can do it ourselves. Just like our clients can plan travel on their own, but they come to us as the expert in travel planning to take that off of their hands.
Well, I also wonder, with all of us, what here in the panel or also watching, I think a lot of us are control freaks to a certain degree. When you work for yourself, when you work for yourself, there's a large part of, I think, the personality of people who go out and do things on their own is because they like to control their destiny. They like to control their outcomes. So it's sometimes you have to fight your inner nature sometimes to realize, yes, we're good and we all have great talents and skills, but we're not always as good as maybe somebody else. And it's hard to relinquish that control sometimes, especially if someone that you're working with makes a mistake. And then you're like, I should have just done it on my own anyway. But take the time to find the right person to work with you. And don't be afraid if you're working with someone and it's not working the way you want it to say, thank you very much. I'm going to go in a different direction, and then go find that right person who does fit with you. Because when you find that right team member, like I'm so thankful with my Nadine in Pretoria, who's doing all of my posting, because I can trust her. It's been 3 months now, and it has freed my mind so much. And there was someone else that I tried first. It didn't work so well. And there were also some things that I had asked Task Birdie to do that I wasn't so thrilled with. So I kept what they did really well with me, and I took back that other thing. So don't be afraid to adjust midway, and don't be afraid to say, this is not the right fit. I need someone else.
Right. Love it. Love it. We're going a little bit over time, but I just want to get to the last few questions. Angela was talking about Tess. So Tess is Travel eSolutions. It's very similar to Travel Joy and Dubsado or Honeybook. I don't have experience. I've seen the platform and I think it's pretty robust, but I personally don't have experience. Does anybody else have any experience with Tess? Okay.
No. Right. And as far as Travel Joy, I know they're not the biggest, but that's something I liked. This year that I've worked with them, I reach out and I have an answer immediately. Like I'm on first name basis now with the team there, because when there's a functionality that I don't quite understand or is not working right, or things that I've requested, they answer immediately. And the person who is doing the work and making the decisions is the person who's talking to me. So I like that. That's something that I really appreciated about Travel Joy.
Yep. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I was just asking questions and literally within a couple minutes, they do send you back a response. So that's, I do appreciate
Oh, Alan.
Yeah. Carl asks, if you are just starting out working with a host agency, what would be the first tool you would get and use? And for Ana and Alicia, a host agency is kind of like, I call it the brain agency. And many of us are independent. If we don't fully have our own travel business, we're independent contractors of host agencies. So we can use their credentials to book travel and get higher commissions. That's the long and short of it.
Got it. For me, I would just say it depends on what your business goal is right now. So, if you're leaning into, everyone's business goal, right, is to generate revenue. What strategy is, what's your strategy right now? What's your primary strategy to generate that revenue? Is it email marketing? Is it social media marketing? Is it hiring a team? Those types of things. So depending on what your strategy is, then I would invest or set up the tools that support that specific strategy first. Would be my take on it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ana.
Sorry. I agree with Alice, because sometimes when we're starting out, we probably all went through this. We see what others are doing. Some of them are like, they started many years ago, and we think we need the last things, the ones that are going to hold all of our processes. But it's really all about structure, just like Alice was saying. Maybe right now my main goal is getting visible, so it will be worth in getting a system that's going to help me reach out more people faster, get my social media there, maybe use Planoly. I forgot to say that I use Planoly a lot too. And maybe building my email list so I can sustain this audience that I'm bringing. And then as you move forward, your processes are going to change, the needs are going to change too. So focus on where you are right now.
I'm glad you said that, Ana, because that's kind of, when I look at Carl's question, I've never worked with a host agency. I've always been on my own. And so I'm never really sure what host agencies provide to the people. I'm sure they have like kind of a CRM and an invoicing system. But if you're just starting out, the biggest thing that you need are customers. So I would focus on the marketing side, which would be Flowdesk and Canva, so that you can individualize your marketing things and go ahead and spend the money to have the full Canva package. So because you can use all of their extra photos. Like, I'm very lucky. I live in Europe. I travel constantly. I have tons and tons of photos and firsthand videos and photos and experiences from the things that I do and sell. But not everyone has that. And at Canva, I noticed they have so many great, stock photos and things that you can make great marketing things. So if you're just starting out and you have that support of a host agency for the fundamentals, focus on your marketing to attract attention.
Love it. I love that you said that. I wanted to be like, this is not a microphone, but like, mic drop, focus on getting those clients. So I am going to wrap this up so we don't go too much over. Dave, I know that you do some coaching and consulting as well, as on top of all the other things that you do. So can you give us a little snippet of how you help travel advisors?
Well, that's the thing. I have been trying, but I've been selling so much these last months that I haven't been able to finish my program. I actually started a training program earlier this year to put together webinars and trainings for travel advisors that want to specialize in river cruising, because that's my niche. And I've been very lucky to be very successful with the support of AMA Waterways. And what I see out there are a lot of generalized programs. There's a lot of things about how to get customers or this, that, but not a whole lot about how to build specifically your river cruise business. So I have worked with a couple of advisors already about growing their group business. That's also what I specialize in. But I'm hoping over the next 2 months, now that my systems are all in place, to have a little bit more time to open up my schedule for one-on-one coaching. Because coaching for me is not necessarily saying this is a step-by-step thing. It's working with that individual to see what their goals are and how to motivate them towards reaching that potential with my own specific views and experience.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. I have Dave's email address. If you want it, just screenshot it real quick, or you can stay tuned to the recording. And then next, Ana, can you just give us a little snippet of how you support any travel business owner?
Right now, I'm mainly I'm mainly helping people who are ready to just put a lot of work into somebody else. This is for businesses who are not necessarily starting out, but want to focus on the getting clients, into getting coaching calls, and creating courses, and are ready to put the other parts of businesses like the email marketing, the copywriting, the email handling into someone else. So I'm supporting that type of business owner with weekly hours. And also I'm in the process of building specific packages, like for someone who wants to start their email marketing and needs their email sequences set up, needs their landing pages set up. So that is going to be like a nice package that I'm putting together. And since I've been noticing a lot of people liking the aesthetic that I create for my travel coaching, I'm thinking about creating like a nice package also around branding and like I love it. Yeah, because it's something that I love to do. I love the planning and I love the graphic part of running a business. So I'm creating something really fun for that as well.
Awesome. And then last but not least, Alicia, how do you support other business owners?
Yeah, thank you. So, so to close out the year, what I'm doing is I am offering a strategic planning session. So before you get into systems, before you get into deciding or prioritizing your strategy, you can sit down and we can do an intensive where we do a strategic planning session, and we will literally map out your entire 2022 year and then go take it a step further and put every single step down that needs to happen from now until the end of the year, or depending on when you're with me, from if we do work in Q1, in Q1 we'll write down every single step that needs to happen. So it's strategic planning and a project plan for that particular quarter, and that'll help you decide kind of what systems you need, what resources overall, your systems, your people, what revenue you want to generate going in there. So kind of second runner up if you're looking for a Dubsado setup. So I'm an expert in Dubsado. So I have a Dubsado VIP day. So if you're looking to get that off your plate, or you've had Dubsado for a while and you've tried working on the workflows, it's a little difficult. You don't have to spend the 20 plus hours learning the system. I can help you set that up before the beginning of the year. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. We are getting thank you comments from everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Panelists, thank you so much for being here. Clearly, this is a very popular topic, and I feel like we're going to need a longer session for the next time. So if you have purchased the study hall pass with me, I will see you in a minute or two in study hall session. Everyone else, you guys have an amazing day. Thank you again so much, Dave, Alicia, Ana, for being here. And pleasure. I'll see you 3 p.m. Eastern time here. We are doing our supplier relationships panel with Chanel Knight and Janet Baba. So I look forward to
my lovely Janet.
Yeah, it's going to be
everybody. When Janet's on there, tell her, go to Egypt with Dave. Go to Egypt with Dave.
Yes.
Send me a message that it might happen. So I want everyone to push her.
Well, I was going to say, I'm going to hold everybody up to putting those in the comments later today. All righty. Have a great afternoon. Bye.
Ciao. Bye-bye.